Okay, at 6 o'clock, I'm going to call this meeting to order, and we will begin with the prayer followed up by the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm asking Councilman Stoffer if he'll lead us in prayer. Would you all stand, please?
Let's pray. Lord, you thank you, many blessings. We thank you, Lord, for a country to live in, Lord, the United States of America. We thank you for a state, the great state of Florida. Thank you for Okaloosa County. Thank you for Niceville. Lord, we just pray now that you would help every decision that's made be done according to thy honor and thy glory, thy direction. Pray for anybody that comes before the council, Lord, that they will be respectful as they should be, that we will be understanding and listening and interact in ways that would be glorifying to thee. Lord, we just pray all this in Jesus' name and for his sake. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any, let me do the roll call first, and then we'll move on from there. So with the roll call, Mr. Stopper?
here.
Mr. Donahue?
Here.
Miss Alley?
Here.
Mr. Schatzel?
Here.
And Mr. Najumian is out tonight. And with that, with the next item, we're going to look at the approval of the agenda with either additions or deletions. Do we have any at this point in time? I believe we have a resolution.
Yes, Mayor, thank you, and council, good evening. I would respectfully request that we add resolution 25-02-01 to the agenda tonight, and that will require a motion.
Correct. All right. Do I have a motion to add resolution 25-02-01 to the agenda?
So move.
And do I have a second?
Second.
So, motion and a second. Any discussion by the council? If not, Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
Miss Alley?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
And Mr. Stopper?
Yes.
All right. Let's move down, I guess, to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All right. Any discussion? If not, Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
Miss Alley?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
And Mr. Stopper?
Yes.
Let's move down to awards, proclamations, and presentations. Do we have an update from the Youth Council?
Yeah, so last night when they met, they went over their projects that they were looking forward to doing this year, and the big one that they talked about was the autism 5K run, and working on that and getting that going. We talked about some scholarship that they would be able to do, and they're working on a project for Florida League of Cities, where they'll submit a package for decorating the doors at the Hawthorne House and doing the Christmas cards for the pavilion.
Awesome. Been a great group, and they continue to do great things, and I want you to know just how proud we are of that organization.
Well, thank you.
You bet.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
Can you remind us again the day of the 5K?
I believe it's April 12th, but I'll email you tomorrow with the exact information.
Okay, thank you.
You gonna walk it?
If I'm in town.
All right.
Question is, she's gonna win them.
Yeah. All right. We have an individual here that has made it a point to remind us all that next year we will be celebrating the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States of America. And so Miss Champion has been working very closely with us here at the city about how we're going to memorialize that, if you will. And so I'm going to ask her to come forward and let everybody know what's been taking place and where it's going to go. Miss Champion, you want to do your thing?
Yes, thank you so much. Good evening. I was so honored to be asked to speak to you all tonight. I am Dacre Champion. I'm currently the chapter regent for the Choctawhatchee Bay chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. Just a little bit about our society. We have objectives such as patriotism, education, and historic preservation. So you might be asking yourself, why am I here tonight? Our national president has asked all of our DIR members to tell the story and advocate for the celebration of the country's 250th birthday, or as it's better known in some circles, America 250. On July 4th, 2026, our nation will commemorate and celebrate this 250th birthday of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The journey toward this event is an opportunity to pause and reflect on our nation's past, to honor the contributions of all Americans, and to look forward to the future. America250.org is a nonprofit that is working to engage our citizens in commemorating the nation's birthday on July 4th. It's called the Semi-Quincentennial. Believe me, it took me about 5 or 6 times to be able to pronounce that correctly. And it was established by Congress in 2016 to plan and orchestrate this 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration. Since that time, the Daughters of the American Revolution has been involved with the Commission by promoting events and educating citizens. Actually, one of our former President Generals was asked by the President to be involved in this. One of Choctawhatchee Bay's several projects to be honoring our 250th has been planting Liberty trees. I have requested permission from some of our Okaloosa County municipalities to plant a Liberty tree within their city. Mayor Hinkle has approved this project, and I thank you so much. If you're not aware of what a Liberty tree is, in years past, like the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s even, people would gather around what they would call a Liberty tree to hear the local news. The town crier would come out. This was before we had radios, TVs, etc., etc. In fact, the very first reading of the Declaration of Independence in Boston was under such a tree. I am, along with Sheila Dunning, a county extension agent, really looked for a really nice tree to plant in Niceville. It's called a Dahoon holly. And one of the reasons we chose it is long-lived. It's a native tree, so it's resistant to disease, doesn't need a lot of care, and it has almost no maintenance. It will soon be planted in the triangle. It's going to be a small tree, and the reason we plant small trees was because if you plant a tree this high, in 5 years, it's going to be the same height as the one that you planted 5 years before that was this tree size. So it's going to grow much faster because the roots are smaller, it doesn't have as much stress to get strength and grow. So that's why the tree will not be huge to begin with. I want to say, if you're interested on a community level to becoming part of America 250 projects, you can access this America250.org website. They list several programs, such as an art contest for the young children called America's Field Trips. There's a nomination of unsung heroes, or share your stories. There's multiple other projects that they list there. So if your group or organization wants to get involved, that is a good place to start. Thank you, and I hope to see you at the dedication of the tree when we plant it. Thank you, Mayor Hinkle.
Thank you, Ms. Champion.
Anybody have any questions?
Ma'am, for the group, I don't know if you mentioned it, when is this planting ceremony?
As soon as we get the tree.
Oh, okay.
And
To be announced.
yes, Sheila is working on getting a really nice one for us. Mrs. Dunning is she's an extension agent. She works with a lot of these growers, so she has some access that we might not have.
Anybody else have any questions? I did pass around the Dahoon holly information, so if you're interested, just call me or see me afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a proclamation I'd like to read. This is one on flood awareness, so if you'll give me just a moment or two to read this. This is a City of Niceville proclamation. Whereas the City of Niceville has experienced severe weather in the past in the form of extreme rainfall or tropical system events resulting in flooding in both coastal and riverine areas, and this flooding has caused damage and flood losses to homes and buildings in all areas, whether they are high-risk special flood hazard areas or low to moderate-risk flood zones. And whereas the city of Niceville is a voluntary participant in the National Flood Insurance Program that provides residents with the opportunity to protect themselves against flood loss through the purchase of flood insurance at reduced insurance premium rates, as well as setting higher regulatory standards to reduce the flood risk and potential flood damage to their property. And whereas the reduction of loss of life and property damage can be achieved when appropriate flood preparedness, control, and mitigation measures are taken before flood, and whereas public education and awareness of potential weather hazards and methods of protection are critical to the health, safety, and welfare of residents, the Florida Floodplain Managers Association, FFMA, have declared the week of March 3rd through the 9th of 2025 as Flood Awareness Week to promote awareness and increase knowledge of flood risk, the availability of flood insurance, flood protection methods, and how to prepare for emergencies. Therefore, I, Daniel Hinkle, do hereby proclaim March 3rd through 9th, 2025 as Flood Awareness Week in the city of Niceville, and further encourage the citizens of the city of Niceville to increase their knowledge of how to protect themselves and their property from flooding. And, you know, we got some rain coming tomorrow. Be prepared. As we move forward, we will all North Carolina. So again, thank you, and appreciate all that you do as citizens to protect your properties. With that, I think we need to move down to public hearings, and Ms. Wendy, you ready to start talking over there?
Yes, sir. We're going to move H3 up to the beginning of the public hearing. And this public hearing is on the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG grant application. A request that the city council provide opportunity for public comment and authorize a fiscal year 2024 Community Development Block Grant application in the regular category.
With that said, I believe Mr. Dennis Dingman is here to talk to us a little bit about this. And I think you're going to need a motion, right, and a vote?
Hello,
Okay, you'll inform us, right?
I sure will.
All right, buddy.
Denny Dingman, Summit Professional Services. Good seeing you all again. Actually, tonight we're going to do two things, and this is in preparation for the submission of a CDBG grant in this upcoming cycle. First part is called a Fair Housing Workshop or Fair Housing Training. The purpose is to inform local officials and citizens about their fair housing rights. The easiest way to do this is for me to read it, and that will satisfy the requirement. As you know, the city of Niceville has a fair housing ordinance, the state has a fair housing law, and of course federal law out of the Civil Rights Act of 1968. And under the Fair Housing Act, it is against the law to, based on these factors, race, color, national origin, religion, sex, familial status, meaning if you have children, or if you have a handicap. It is unlawful to refuse to rent to you or sell you housing, tell you housing is unavailable when in fact it is available, show you apartments or homes in certain neighborhoods only, advertise housing to preferred groups of people only, to refuse to provide you with information regarding mortgage loans, deny you a mortgage loan, or impose different terms and conditions on a mortgage loan, to deny you property insurance, conduct property appraisals in a discriminatory manner, refuse to make certain modifications or accommodations for persons with a mental or physical disability, including persons recovering from alcohol abuse and substance abuse, and HIV/AIDS-related illness. Fail to design and construct housing in an accessible manner, or to harass, coerce, intimidate, or interfere with anyone exercising or assisting someone else with their fair housing rights. So it's unlawful to do this based, again, on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, familial status, or handicap. If you feel your rights have been violated, there is a form at www.hud.gov that a person can fill out. There's an 800 number that's available, and there's a form that can be filled out on the web and mailed into the HUD Atlanta office. I have a copy of this, and I'll leave this with Wendy. There should be a copy in your package as well, so if citizens would like a copy of this information, it'll be here for them. And that is the fair housing activity. Any questions?
Questions by council?
The second required meeting is called the first public hearing. And the purpose of, there'll be two public hearings. One will be the first one and then a second public hearing. Makes sense? And what I'll do is I'll give you a program overview of the CDBG program, and at the end of it, I'll ask for a motion and vote. This hearing is to outline the types of grants that are available, possible, and this is for the FFY 2024 grant application cycle. At the last meeting, the question was asked, is it FFY 2024? Actually, it is. FFY 2024 is the federal allocation of funds. It's come down to the states now, and so this money will be spent in the next cycle, which will be in the year FFY, in the year 2025. It's a competitive grant with funds available to cities with a population under 50,000 or counties with a population under 200,000. So of course the city of Niceville is eligible to apply for this grant. The objective of the grant is to provide benefit to low to moderate income persons, prevent or eliminate slum and blight, and then to meet an urgent need, I should say. There was a hurricane that came through and there was disaster recovery that was needed. CDBG would provide that disaster recovery funding. Now, there are two categories of funding. One is economic development, and that is a category where a business may want to locate, say, in Niceville on an undeveloped piece of property. They don't have the funds to provide sewer or road access. And if a business is willing to generate a certain number of jobs based on the amount that the city would apply for to do that infrastructure, they would provide permanent jobs, full-time jobs to low to moderate income individuals. Then there's the regular category. The regular category consists of three different types of grants. And the city can only have one of these open at a time. We're just closing out the last grant, so that makes the city eligible for the grant in this upcoming cycle. The first category is housing rehabilitation, which you're probably all familiar with. We're able to fix code violations on homes and roofs, windows, heating and air, refrigerators, structure improvements, things like that. And in some cases, in fact, in 2 cases last grant, we actually tore down a house and rebuilt the house for the homeowner. So we're able to do that if the need is such. If the cost of repairs is going to be more than the value of the house after we repair it, we build a new house. The second category is neighborhood revitalization. In that category, the city is able to put in sewer, water, storm water, things like that, roads, repair roads, things like that. And the third category is commercial revitalization. It's not an often used category, and they don't allocate very much money to that category. Basically, if there's an older community that has a deteriorating downtown, I'm trying to think of one. Monticello is one that we worked on, Lake Butler. These are communities that were established in the 1800s, and for some reason the highways come by and all the businesses have moved away from the downtown area, and there's a dilapidated downtown. Well, money can be provided to fix facades on buildings, sidewalks, streetlights, things like that, to just try to revitalize that downtown area. And so those are the 3 categories. What I'm going to ask you to now, based on our last conversation at the last meeting, you said you were all interested in applying for a grant this time. There is a motion. I think you have a motion in front of you, do you not? If not, I can provide the sheet of paper or read it to you.
We do. We do.
Okay.
So Bill, since you've got it right in front of you, you want to make that motion?
Sure, be happy to. So I'm going to make a motion to proceed with an FFY 2024 Community Development Block Grant in the regular category.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Stoffer. Does the council have any questions Would anybody in the audience like to come before the council on this issue? Seeing nobody moving forward, I'll start with Mr. Stoffer. How do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
And Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Dingman, anything else?
It's a pleasure working for you.
Appreciate it,
Thank
buddy.
you so much.
Thanks. All right, what we got next, Wendy?
Okay, what we have next is the budget amendment for the water meter replacement. Ordinance number 25-03-1, first reading. An ordinance adopting the amended final budget changes for the city of Niceville for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2024. An ordinance adopting and approving the appropriation set forth in said budget for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2024, and providing for an effective date.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Schatzel moves. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Donahue. I guess, you want to address that, city manager?
Yes, sir, I can. So when,
Before you do that, I have a question. In our booklet, it's, oh, that's the wrong one. I don't have 2503.
and the resolution came to you separately in a separate email.
Right.
A couple days ago.
Okay, so we don't have it printed out.
No, ma'am, it's, like I said, it came to you via email earlier in the week.
Okay. Good point.
So, council, what this is I'm requesting a budget amendment to the fiscal year 25 budget. In the fiscal year 25 budget, you approved $250,000 to our water meter project. As you recall, we were in discussions with Jacobs, Johnson Controls. And they came back with multiple options, all of which were over $6 million. And so my team and I, we went back and we looked at this project and we got it down to just under $1.9 million to accomplish everything that we need done. What I failed to do is when I was communicating with the finance director, we put $250,000 in the budget, and what I meant to convey was put $250,000 per month in the budget. And so we had the money budgeted, but it was not approved by the council during the budget process. And so what I'm requesting is a budget amendment to the fiscal year 24 budget. And the numbers were on the resolution. So as I mentioned, the council approved $250,000. I'm asking for a revision of $1,635,255.93 for a total of $1,885,255.93. We had budgeted this money internally, but again, overlooked it during the budget process. I'm not recommending that we finance this. We had a number of proposals from various financial institutions from across the Panhandle. But what I'm recommending is we withdraw the money for this project out of our water and sewer reserves. We currently have $9.5 million in our reserves in this project. If we pay for it entirely out of reserves, we'll leave us $7.6 million, which is more than enough to get us through this year and next. And so I do not propose financing this project in order to, because all the interest rates on the proposals that came back were in the 5, 6, 7% range. And so there's no need to finance this project at that rate, given it's less than $1.9 million.
So I do have a comment. We do have it in our booklet, but it's 25-02-01. So is it 25-02 or 03?
Did I say 03?
Well, in the agenda, it's 03, and in our book, it's 02.
It should say 02. The one I have says 250201.
Okay,
Oh,
so
is
the
that great?
agenda,
Okay, I'm sorry, yes. Should be 250301 because it'll be approved next month. This is the first reading.
So the correct is 03?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so our book is wrong.
Yes, ma'am. If it says 02, it's incorrect.
Okay, just want to correct that.
okay, are there any other questions or comments? Would anybody in the audience like to come before the council on this issue?
I just have a question.
Please come forward to the podium, speak into the microphone, state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, my name is Jennifer Smith, I live at 200 White Street, Niceville, Florida. You mentioned not financing the $1.9 million debt because the interest rates were coming in at 5 and 6 and 7%. Well, my question would be, what is the rate of return on the $1.9 million that we're earning at the moment?
What's the rate of return?
Correct, what are you earning on that money as opposed to what you would pay?
4.4, 4.5.
That was my question, thank you.
Would anybody else like to come before the council on this issue?
That was a good question.
Seeing none, Mr. Stopper,
Yes.
Mr. Donahue,
Yes.
Miss Alley,
Yes.
and Mr. Schatzel. What you got next, Wendy?
Okay, E2, the EAR-based amendments to the comprehensive plan. Request approval to transmit the proposed amendment to the comprehensive plan to the appropriate state and federal agencies for review. Ordinance of the City of Niceville, Florida, providing for amendments to chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 12 of the comprehensive plan, deleting chapters 1 through 5 pertaining to administrative, substantively amending chapter 12 pertaining to recreation and open space, and providing for enforcement, severability, conflicts, and codifications, and providing for an effective date.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Miss Alley. Do we have somebody who wants to speak to this? Kristen, you want to speak to this?
Briefly, council, this is the first round of our evaluation and appraisal report-based amendments that we are required to do by the state statutes. We have to have everything submitted by September of this year, so you're gonna see a series of amendments that kind of build on this ordinance, and when we finally adopt it, we'll give it a number. We won't know when that is until, it'll be sometime in November probably, that this actually becomes an adopted ordinance that comes back from the state for review and your final adoption, but we do need to have this transmittal public hearing. Next month, there'll be another round of proposed amendments to different chapters of the comprehensive plan. This is just a way to make sure that we don't put the entire plan on your agenda at one time, which is a lot to digest. So if you have any questions, the planning commission did recommend approval. They had some changes. Most of those were not substantive. There was one substantive change where we changed some of the cooperative partners on grant funding. But for the most part, they were non-substantive changes, and those are included in your draft, transmittal draft here.
Any questions for Kristen? Any further discussion? Would anybody in the audience like to come before the council on this issue? Seeing none, Mr. Schatzel,
Yes.
Miss Alley,
Yes.
Mr. Donahue,
Yes.
and Mr. Stopper.
Yes.
I think this would be a good place to do the resolution too now, Wendy, I believe.
Okay. Resolution 250201.
03, right? Or is it 02?
No, yes, resolution.
Resolution supporting Okaloosa County Health Improvement Partnerships, OCHIP, recommendation to partner with the Northwest Florida Community Land Trust to establish a community land trust in Okaloosa County.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Donahue. Did you want to address this?
Yes, sir, I do. So council, the members of the Okaloosa County Health Improvement Partnership has developed a housing working group following the Okaloosa County Walton Summit, which took place back in May of 2024. Members of this group met at least once a month and identified a community land trust as a potential tool that should be explored in order to alleviate the ongoing housing burden felt by Okaloosa County residents. Community land trusts are nonprofit 501c3 entities developed to provide and preserve affordable housing by permanently retaining ownership of the land on which affordable homes, developments, or rental units are built. Separating ownership of the land benefits homeowners and ensures homes in the community land trust remain affordable in perpetuity. The basic principles of a community land trust are this. The homeowner purchases the house, but not the land, which lowers the purchase price. The homeowner leases the land from the community land trust. When the home is sold, a portion of the appreciation value stays with the land under a new 99-year ground lease. And this makes the home affordable for the next buyer, and the rest of the equity goes with the current owner when they sell it. The owner of the home cannot sell the community land trust home on the open market. Instead, it must be sold to a new low-income buyer at an affordable price, which is determined by a resale formula which is established by the community land trust nonprofit. This allows both the community land trust and the owner to benefit in market appreciation. The members of this group recommend moving forward with this proposal with the Northwest Florida Community Land Trust, which is operated by the Pensacola Habitat for Humanity. Local nonprofits are not currently equipped to manage a community land trust. The Pensacola Habitat for Humanity and Community Land Trust are willing to dedicate staff and time and resources to ensure a successful expansion of a community land trust into Okaloosa County. And so what we are proposing with that resolution is all it is asking is for your support of this affordable housing initiative. And all the other municipalities are taking similar actions in an effort to go before the Okaloosa County Commissioners next month at a commissioner meeting to pitch this idea and make this recommendation that we partner with the Community Land Trust, the Northwest Florida Community Land Trust, and the Habitat for Humanity in Pensacola to establish this community land trust. Nothing more, no money requested, no land requested, no nothing, just support of this concept so that we can take this before the commissioners next month.
Any questions by the council? Would anybody in the audience like to come before the council on this issue? Seeing none. Mr. Stoffer, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Miss Alley?
Yes.
And Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
All right, let's move down to the second and final readings.
Okay, so this is a Tidwell rezoning ordinance 25-01-05. It's on its second and final reading. This is a rezoning application submitted by John Tidwell requesting an amendment of the official zoning map found within the Land Development Code to change the zoning district for a property from multifamily R3 to Planned Unit Development PUD, and to change the future land use map found within the comprehensive plan from the medium density residential category to the mixed use category. The property is approximately 0.27 plus or minus acres and is located just north of Mason Street at 205 Marquette Avenue and is identified as parcel ID number 12-1S-23-0000-0045-0000.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Stoffer. Would anybody in the audience want to come forward and talk about this?
Who made the motion, Mayor?
That was Mr. Schatzel.
Thank you.
Any discussion by the council? All right. Mr. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Miss Alley?
Yes.
And Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
All right, let's move down to the reports, city manager report.
Sir, what I'd like to do if we could, let's get the business done first before I get to my comments, because my comments may be
All right.
a little longer than normal.
You tell us who you want up here next.
I'm sorry, just move down to section H, the new business.
Gotcha. All right. Let's see here. I'm gonna mix this a little bit. Let's go with the watershed planning.
The watershed planning, request authorization to apply for a watershed planning program grant to include matching funds and in-kind contributions from the Florida Department of Emergency Management to complete a watershed master plan. Watershed master planning will provide supporting data and modeling in order to improve the city's floodplain management ordinance and could result in additional community rating system, CRS points, which are available to help lower flood insurance premiums for Niceville residents.
Do we need to take a vote on this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Kristen, you want to address it? And then we'll hit you with some questions.
Yes,
Do a motion and a second first.
Yeah, I guess that would be a good idea. Thank you.
So moved. Second.
And, okay, so we got Stoffler with the motion and Donahue with the second. Okay, now,
Thank you, council. We have an opportunity to apply for a grant here in the next week that will help us develop some flood modeling that will inform future amendments to the floodplain ordinance as well as our community rating system. The engineer that we'll probably, or engineering firm that we'll probably work with on this is here tonight, so if you have technical questions, he can answer those. So this is kind of a technical document that we would get as a result, and it's the first step towards amending our stormwater master plan also. And so these are sort of what I like to call paths of funding, similar to what we followed with the transportation side of things, and we're starting to realize those gains in a big way in terms of funding coming into the city. So this would be first step, and as you know, we participate in the community rating system. We're currently a Class 6. There's potential for us to improve that rating through doing this study. It's one mechanism that improves your weight rating, which can result in lower flood premiums for people that have flood insurance on their homes. And we know that we need to do some work amending that ordinance, and so this will be a great benefit towards doing that.
awesome. Before you walk away, does anybody have any questions?
You say we're a 6, what's the top, or?
It goes, 1 is the top, yeah, so if we became a 5, it's a 5% reduction in the premiums. Right now, our citizens are getting a 20% reduction in their flood insurance premiums because of our participation in the program. So if we go up to a 5 or 4, we can get 5 or 10 additional percent for them on those premiums. No guarantee, but this is one path to do that.
Any other questions? Would anybody else like to come forward to the council on this issue? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Just curious on what's the lowest on that.
Hold on, please come up to the mic. State your name and address for the record.
Arnold Cole, 107 McEwen Drive. I'm just curious, if one's the top, what's the lowest?
I think it goes even into the teens. I'm not exactly sure, but you can basically not participate or be at a very minimal level at like I think it might be go to 15. So it's backwards.
Okay, thank you. I
You
was
bet.
just wondering.
No worries. Would anybody else like to come before the council on this issue? Any more from the council? All right, go ahead.
That's good, that's good.
All right. Mr. Schatzel,
Yes.
Ms. Alley,
Yes.
Mr. Donahue,
Yes.
and Mr. Stoffel.
Yes.
Hey, Mr. Donahue, use your mic a little closer too. Like real close.
Real loud.
There you go. All right, let's see here. I think we want to also,
H4, Mayor.
yeah, that's it. The March City Council meeting. I guess we need to make a motion and request, I guess, to change our meeting date from our normal date to an earlier date. So when do you want to read that for everybody, for the record?
March City Council meeting, request approval to reschedule the March 11th, 2025 regular City Council meeting to March 10th, 2025 due to the Election Canvassing Board meeting.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second by Mr. Donahue. Discussion by the council? Anybody else want to come before the council on this issue? So what we're telling you, mark your calendar. If you're coming to the meeting, it's going to be on Monday instead of Tuesday. With that said, to make that official, Mr. Stopper, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Alley?
Yes.
And Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
All right. Now, let's see, I think we had one other thing we need to do here. For the council, do you have anything you want to share with us tonight? And I'll start with Mr. Schatzel.
No, I'll pass on that, thank you.
Ms. Alley, you have anything?
I just want to remind everybody about the election that even though nobody's running for the city council, we do have amendments to the city charter, so people do need to show up and vote, so that we can pass the 2 amendments to the city charter.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Mr. Stopper?
Nothing at all.
All right. With that said, then we're at that point
Well, Mayor, you
where
want the
we want
department
the city
reports?
manager to do his thing, right?
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to bring up Chief Hayes first, please. Mr. Mayor, City Manager, Council, thank you for having me up here. I'm going to bring you January 2025 statistics for the police department. The City of Niceville Police Department responded to 1,986 calls for service during that month. That included 39 traffic crash reports, 71 vehicles, total of about $300,000 in damage. Our officers issued 127 citations, and additionally 187 traffic warnings were given during that month. Pretty short and sweet this time.
You have somebody we'd like to introduce?
Yes. I'd like to introduce the new City of Niceville Police Department's Deputy Chief, Brandon Chapin. Come on up, Brandon. Brandon comes to us from Fort Walton. He's a veteran there, 15 years. He was their major, which is effectively their number 2 position at Fort Walton. We're very, very fortunate to have him. I can be arrested for shoplifting because I stole him, I'll admit it. In all seriousness, he's a fine young man, and he's going to be a bright future for the Niceville Police Department, and we're very excited to have him. Brandon?
City Manager, I just want to say thank you. I'm glad to join the team here at Niceville and the community. I've been out riding around a little bit, and the community here is amazing, so I'm excited to be here, so thank you.
Well, Brandon, we're glad to have you, and you already spelled it out. Niceville is a great place to live, it's a great place to work, and a great place to play. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did anybody have anything more than the chief? I think there's got to be somebody got a question.
No, I don't have
All right, Kathy.
So can you please tell me how many animal calls you've had since we ended the contract with PAWS, since the end of December, and what kind of animals they were, and how many were picked up and what was done with them?
I have the statistics from September 1st till February 10th of 25. We had a total of 29 calls for animal service. 5 of those were bear sightings, 2 barking dogs, 2 loose horses, 3 animals left in vehicles, 1 injured or possibly deceased animal, and 2 barking dogs. So in essence, 29 calls, 21 could be considered potentially a call for cause. We picked up a total of 6 dogs since September. 2 of them were at the same call. All of them except 1 were returned to their owners shortly thereafter. Generally, the procedure is to put the picture of the animal on Facebook or social media, and we generally get a pretty quick response to that. We did turn 1 animal over, which was last week, to the Crestview Animal Shelter. That's pretty much it.
So we started a contract with PAWS in September though, right? September, October?
Yes, ma'am. Our contract expired. It was a 1-year contract, ended at the end of fiscal year 24.
Okay. All right. That was my questions.
Any other questions by the council? All right, thanks, Chief.
Thank you. All right, Chief Laird is not here. He's got cooties, and so he's home. So we're going to bring up Chief Mayville.
The mayor, council, bring you up to date with the activities of the Niceville Fire Department for the month of January. We responded to 211 calls, one of those being an overdose, and all went well with that call. We had 82 fire inspections for the month, 71 passes and 11 businesses failed, had to go back and re-inspect. And we had CPR classes, numerous classes at the station for businesses, nurses, and physicians, and also our police department. Got all those guys pre-certified CPR. Crew members reviewed their tactics and strategy classes for all new hires, getting them up to date on how to attack a fire and to first arrive at do an engine on a structure. Crew members, early morning send-off for our cheerleaders, which are 6-time champions for the state of Florida for their cheer in Niceville High School. Hydrant maintenance will be done this month, and we'll be out painting, oiling fittings, and weed eating around, and putting markers out, and just cleaning up a little around the hydrants itself. Residents need to be aware that the state law is 7.5 feet circumference all the way around the hydrant. Shouldn't be nothing around it. So we'll be clearing all that. If you have shrubbery, flowers, plants, we like to clear it out of the way. So in case we do have to go in there and hit a hydrant, we don't destroy your stuff. Again, that's all city easement, and so we'll be taking care of that. All crews are actively working on their accreditations and classes. That's all I have.
Questions for the chief?
I have one.
Let Schatzel go first, then you got the next one, Kathy.
Okay, 2 questions, Chief. You said you had one overdose, and the gentleman or lady recovered. Was this a repeat overdose for this individual?
I believe it was.
Okay. Second question I have is, on the charts that we see, EMS non-vehicular, what is an example of an EMS other that's in the chart?
Example is EMS responds, or we get canceled, or police officer get on scene. There's no need for fires, just a quick, hey, let's get the vehicle out of the road, or we'll respond. And the stuff that you see here is on my report, actual patients that we tended to in the vehicles. So there's a breakup in that. So we keep track of what we're actually doing to the patient. And not only that, but we do what's like a customer service. So if the patients, we like to do a revisit in a hospital sometimes, and go revisit the patient just to see the level of care we provided.
Thank you.
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
On the new road in Deer Moss Creek, there's a purple hydrant. It's painted purple.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that reclaimed water?
That is reclaimed water.
Okay, I've never seen a purple hydrant that is called reclaimed water.
That is the reclaimed water that's all over the city, and the water and sewer department can maintain that and flush those periodically to make sure the system's up to date and up to par.
All right, thank you.
Don't drink that water either.
No, I don't.
That's not
Any other questions by council? Thank you, chief.
Yes, sir.
All right, council, my turn. So a number of things. I'm going to start with a huge thank you for Tim and Sue McCool and Third Planet, who put on an absolutely fantastic bonfire last Friday. Tim and Sue are just amazing partners in the city. They're so dedicated to this community. They love this community. They serve this community, and they did it again last Friday. And because of their dedication to this community, that event raised $15,400 $54 for the fireworks show. So again, I just want to thank Tim and Sue and Third Planet for a phenomenal event. There were thousands of people out there, so thanks to both of them. Next part's coming along. The engineering firm is finishing the design and engineering and the cost estimating. I think Kristen and team have gotten the cost down into budget, and so that project will be coming before the Planning Commission in March for approval. April for approval, but the design and engineering is almost done. And I've been getting a lot of questions, comments, and complaints about all the fiber companies in Niceville, and what I would offer to the community is this. Florida Statute 337.401 limits municipalities and counties on what they can and can't, what we allow and what we don't allow, and it does not allow us to prevent telecommunication companies coming and putting fiber down in our right of ways. And so I know there's a lot of flags and paint everywhere, whether it's Live Oak or AT&T or whoever. Again, we have no legal authority to stop them from coming into neighborhoods and spray painting the roads and putting signs, putting little flags in the yards. Because all that, where that's at is all right away, and again, the state law preempts our ability to stop them from doing that. Live Oak should be done in the next couple of months, and AT&T will hopefully be done sometime, maybe by the end of the year. I don't really know the timeline for them, but I know Live Oak is almost done. So, council, any questions about that?
Any questions?
Okay. Finally, I suspect that there's a lot of people with us tonight who are here about the pause issue, so I wanted to provide an update. Before I do that, though, I do want to offer everybody the opportunity. I will stay behind after the city council meeting has concluded and talk, discuss, answer questions, anything that the residents would like. I will be more than happy to stay behind at the end of this meeting. But by way of background, so last approximately May or June of 2024, my finance director and I started engaging with the former PAWS executive director about establishing a new contract, because we were in budget season, and so we were trying to figure out how much we needed to budget for fiscal year 25 for the PAWS contract. And our contract is a one-year contract, and so it was going to expire on September 30th of 2024. And so we engaged with the former executive director on a number of occasions via email. And what we received back, contract's coming, but the rate would not go up, so that's what we budgeted for. The fiscal year 25 PAWS budget was the same amount as fiscal year 24, based on what the former executive director said. Fast forward, closer to the end of the fiscal year, we still did not have a contract, and so I gave PAWS oral authorization to continue on a month-to-month basis until we could get a contract. Again, assuming that we were going to pay fiscal year 24 rates. Fast forward to December, let me back up. Over October and November, we exchanged a number of emails with the new executive director, again, asking for a new contract, and again, she said it's coming. And then in the middle of December, December 11th, I got an email from the current executive director of PAWS that said, basically, we're ready to enter the new contract, and the new contract rate was $7.50, which was $1 more than we were already paying per person, per resident. So it's a per capita, flat rate per capita contract. And then the rate was going from $105,000 and change to $125,000 and change, which represented almost a 20% increase. And so over the next couple of days, between December 11th and December 13th, the executive director and I had a number of back and forth email discussions where I expressed that the former executive director had said that the rate wasn't going up, and also why was I asked her why the city of Niceville, who was already paying $1 more than the residents of Okaloosa County and the other municipalities, which were all paying in the $5.50 range, And we were paying $1 more the past several years, more than everybody else. Wyatt was going up to $7.50. So now Niceville residents would be paying $2 more than everybody else in the county. And I did not get a response to that, or at least an explanation. I also didn't get an explanation when I asked for instead of a per capita contract, I asked for a contract that was similar to Mary Esther's, which was a pay for pickup kind of service contract. And the executive director, again, denied that request, and they didn't give any explanation of why. So fast forward to December 13th, I got an email from the executive director that said essentially the new rate is both per capita and annually is this, and if we don't have a new contract in place by the end of the calendar year, PAWS would have to cease service in Niceville. And I said, okay, thank you. We're not going to renew our contract. So going forward, I met with the current executive director on the 31st of January. She came over to my office, and we spoke for an hour and a half to 2 hours, had a very pleasant, very cordial, very, what I thought was a productive conversation. And at the end of it, I was cautiously optimistic and encouraged that we were going to be able to get the yes on the contract. But my optimism ceased at 3:36 today when I received an email from the executive director stating that they had decided not to continue any contract negotiations with us and not provide service to Niceville. And so that's where we stand right now. At the same time, they terminated immediately their contract with another municipality in the county, effective immediately. And so here we are, and going forward, I'm going to be engaging with both the county and the other municipalities to figure out a way forward. So, Council, that's the update on the PAWS contract that I have for you right now. Again, for those in the audience, I am more than happy to stay behind after the council meeting and chat with you, answer questions, whatever the case may be after the council meeting has concluded.
Do you have anything else, City Manager?
No, sir, I'm done.
Okay, with that said, we are at that point in the evening where we're going to open it up for the citizens to come before the council, but let me remind you again what the ground rules are. One, please, when you get to the microphone, state your name and address for the record and make your point quickly, because you're allotted 3 minutes, and I will be the guy counting the 3 minutes. I'll have my handy dandy 3-minute timer up here. And so do that. The council is in a receive mode. We're not in a debate mode, so we're in a receive mode. So share with us, like I said, your points, do it quickly, and we'll move forward. By the way, I know we have a lot of folks out here, and I don't know if they're all coming to speak on the same thing, but if we have multiple repeats of whatever the issue is, I'm going to stop you after a certain point in time, and I'm going to do something very simple. I'm going to say, how many of you out there have the same thing to say? And I want you to raise your hand. And if you raise your hand, it'll be noted how many people had those same issues that they wanted to bring before the council. And we'll press on from there. With that said, would anybody like to come before the council to speak? So I saw your hand go up first. You come up first and state your name and address for the record, get to your point, and we'll start the timer here shortly. No, the timer's not running right now. Please try to adjust that mic so we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
My name is Carolyn Musa. I live at 211 2nd Street, Niceville, Florida, 32578. Good evening, Mayor, council members. I have proudly served this community since 1974 in various roles, including of Niceville Volunteer Fire Department, Juvenile Justice, Detention Officer over at DJJ, also at Department of Corrections. I also ran the Kennel Manager at Pet Welfare at Eglin Air Force Base. I'm here tonight to request a formal independent financial audit of PAWS regarding this contract with the City of Niceville that we had. First, the keys. One, lack of financial transparency from Niceville funds. The 2003 PAWS audit report stated that 9.7% of PAWS revenue came from municipal contracts, but it does not specify how much originated from Niceville or how much funds were actually used. Without a clear financial breakdown, it is impossible to verify whether taxpayers from Niceville were actually spent exclusively for Niceville services. Two, PAWS has been found in breach of contract as of tonight, or as of, February 10th, with Okaloosa County issuing a notice of default administrative assessment against PAWS for failing to provide independent financial audits for the last 3 consecutive years, FY22, FY23, and FY24. Given that PAWS has already failed to meet transparency standards for Okaloosa County, Niceville must ensure that our own taxpayers and funds are being properly managed. And the fact that according to PAWS IRS Form 990, they hold a $4 million in net asset, given their financial standing, is reasonable for Niceville taxpayers to expect full transparency on how our city funds are going to be used within any contracts that are going to be formed. 3, unanswered financial discrepancies in PAWS invoices. PAWS invoices lack itemized records or services performed specifically for Niceville. There are instances where financial and animal data from other municipalities, including Okaloosa County, Santa Rosa, Fort Walton Beach, appear with Niceville invoices. The $8,769.17 monthly fee that was charged to Niceville is not fully justified, making it difficult to confirm that our taxpayers are receiving full contracted services. 4, unclear of animal transfer.
1 minute to go.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. And compliance of state laws. PAWS invoices indicated the animals were transferred out of agency or out of state. There is no such document. There is no tracking or reporting of whether Niceville's funded animals were adopted, euthanized, or transferred elsewhere. Florida Statute 8.823.151 requires shelters to publicly post lost or stray animals within 48 hours. This is unclear. My call to action was to ask, given the concerns, I formally request the City of Niceville to conduct an independent financial audit of PAWS. I want to verify how much the municipal contract revenue came from Niceville and to ensure that funds were used exclusively for Niceville's animal services. Rather, PAWS invoice structure is consistent with contract terms and not improperly inflated. Conduct of contract compliance reviews to confirm PAWS has fulfilled its obligations to the city. Thank you.
And just for the record, we do have Ms. Musa's document that states the rest of whatever she was going to say, so thank you, we appreciate it.
I can send it, I was also going to send it certified to you, Steve. Do you need me to hand it directly to you, or just go ahead and send it certified?
You can just hand it, I mean, you've already handed it.
Yes, sir, I did. Yes, I just wasn't sure if I had those to do it
For
certified.
the record that I have it in my hands.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to come before the council on any issue? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record. I know you've already done it once, but do it again.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Smith. I live at 200 White Street, Niceville, Florida. I love Niceville. I moved away for a year and couldn't wait to get back. I'm disappointed in Niceville. We need animal control. I live in a neighborhood. There are dogs roaming wild. I have grass next to my house. All my neighbors have wooden decks. They allow their dogs to defecate, all 4 of them, on a 10 by 12 piece of grass. I picked up 37 piles of dog food. It's now getting moldy. It smells to high heaven, and there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. I have made at least 100 phone calls to various people that I was directed to. Absolutely zero help. I've been bitten twice by these dogs. There's nobody to call for help. It's outrageous. The citizens of the city are not being protected from animals. There's absolutely no one to call. I can't even sit out on my deck because the smell is so horrific. It makes you sick to your stomach. And I pay a lot of money to live on the water, a lot of money. And it's unfair that I have no one to call. And I can tell you one thing, if I was investing your money, you'd be earning more than 4%. What are we going to do about this? We need animal control. Aren't there other companies? If it were me and the contract wasn't there in a week, I'd be calling other companies to get animal control. If it were me, I would do a month-to-month contract. So what if it costs more? At what price do you sacrifice public safety? Do a month-to-month contract until we find someone cheaper. There's always a way, but you don't leave the citizens unprotected. I've made so many phone calls. I'm at the point, I've never been to a meeting like this. I've never spoken out. I've never done anything like this. But I'm at my wit's end. I'm filing a lawsuit against the HOA for failure to enforce the rules. I'm filing civil suits against the two families who allow their dogs to roam wild and defecate wherever they feel like it without the need to clean it up. I even offered my spare parking space to one of these families if they would just pick up their dog poop, and they won't. So what do I do?
Ma'am, the first part of your complaint, this is the first I'm hearing about it. I don't know who the 100 people you were that you called. But issues like that, we can address through code compliance and law enforcement. I don't need Pauls to do that.
I called the police. They won't
So,
do anything about it.
Well, listen, again, I would encourage you to stay behind, and I can
I'm
answer
going
all your
to.
questions. And I'd be more than happy to talk to you after this council meeting.
I want to know what your plan is.
Sure, and I will
You are
find
the
it after
city
the council.
manager.
Yes,
It
ma'am.
is your job to protect us, and you're
For
not
sure.
doing that job. I'm
Sure.
sorry.
I'll explain it to you after the council meeting.
I've got a lot of information. I probably know more about this than you do, but I still think, I find it horribly irresponsible to end a contract without, I mean, if your kid quit their job without having another one, what would
That's
you tell
time.
them?
Again, I'll be more than happy to talk to you after the council meeting.
Thank you for your time.
Would somebody else like to come before the council on any issue? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record. You might have to pull that mic down a little bit.
Think?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Hi, I'm Sally Whiteside. I live at 1517 Abaco Cove in Blue Water Bay. I'm here about the dogs as well. I'm sure you have a lot of people that are. I know that the pole paws thing, I don't know enough details to get into any type of confrontation or anything about that. But I just want to know what our plans are going forward for strays that are picked up. We don't want them to be taken to shelters where they'll get euthanized. And does Niceville have any plans to start a shelter or what's the plan? That's the main thing. I'd just like to hear some clarification on how we're going to move forward if we don't have an agency like Paws involved.
Ma'am, just real quick, I think I heard you say that you live in Blue Water Bay.
Yeah.
That's county, and you still have a contract through the county with Paws, and although they said today, Monday I think it was, that they were cease and desist with it?
No, sir, the county still has a contract.
Okay.
The county does?
They do.
But does Niceville have plans for any type of, for rescue or?
Stand by
Okay.
after the meeting.
I will.
Would somebody else like to come before the council on any issue? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Carolyn Clark. I just want to say the police absolutely respond to all the calls that I made about dogs in our neighborhood. Paws came, they did nothing. My husband was bitten by the dog in our neighborhood. So for 5 years, Paws has not picked anything up. The dog still run free, but the police absolutely respond, and they do talk to the people about their dogs. So I'm not a fan of Paws because they've never done anything.
Thank you. And I missed it, but did you state your name and address?
Yeah, I said
Okay,
Carolyn
good.
Clark.
Thank you. Would somebody else like to come before the council? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
I am way out of my comfort zone, but my name is Sherry Walker. I live at 591 Woodlow in Niceville. And I and many of my citizens of Niceville are very upset and concerned about the refusal of the contract. There was a meeting that was set up by the city manager and Ms. Kinsley, the director of PAWS. She tried many, many times to send an email to him, and the emails did not get through to him. I saw the emails personally. They finally set up a meeting, and she felt like she was not listened to and never got a chance to really discuss things because of his attitude. to propose and negotiate a price. She was willing to come down on the price, but she was never given the chance to discuss the price. At the town meeting, I asked a lot of questions, and he gave me the answers, and it turned out that they were not correct. He told us that the animals would be sent to Crestview, Paws, and to Alaqua. Alaqua is out of the question because it's out of the county. Is the city going to be responsible for the animals that are sent up to Crestview? Are they going to pay for the food? Are they going to pay for the care? Are they going to pay for the vet services? What is the adoption fee? Or is there a foster program? Or are the animals going to be put down after a certain time? Paws is a no-kill shelter. Is Crestview a no-kill shelter? In a message that was sent to Ms. Kinsley, the city manager stated that anyone picking up a stray animal will be responsible for the care of that animal. And please do not bring them to the police department or drop them off. I heard a recording of a woman who had called the police department stating that she had a dog, and the dispatcher didn't know anything about it, didn't know any information, and told her to take it to Paws. She was told that she wasn't able to take it to Paws because of the decline in the contract. So the dispatcher hung up on it. Also, let's see, should put my glasses on. I heard a recording, well, lots of citizens are upset. No plans were set in place before the contract was refused. There should have been a plan, there should have been something set up to take care of the animals at that time and dealt with, and not, there was nothing in the situation, and they were just kind of, I'm very nervous.
It's time.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're okay. You will talk.
Would somebody else like to come before the council on any issue? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Cindy Runyon, 208 Nathie Avenue, Niceville. I just wanted to say I'm not necessarily an advocate of, police department Paws one way or the other, but when somebody made a comment about their lack of response, I just wanted to share that we on Nathie Avenue have had great response from Paws. We have had numerous occasions where we have had stray dogs that we've called about, and they've showed up 8, 9 o'clock at night to pick these dogs up. We've had dogs that we have found deceased in the road that we've waited with until they could show up. But then again, the police department also showed up on another occasion, and they were just as good. We've had an incident where there was a gentleman down the road that we suspected there might be some mistreatment of an animal, and Paws was right on top of it. They came down, they investigated, they communicated with us via email, provided a report with a response of what had happened and what their findings were. So I just wanted to put the other side out there, that I know that some people may not have had good experience with them, but some of us have had good experiences with them, and professionalism and follow through, and seem like they were doing their job. It's nice to have that to call on them, and if it's not them, just give us somebody to call on so we can help these animals and protect these animals just as much as we're protecting our citizens. And I'll stay after as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Would somebody else like to come before the council on any issue? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Mike Henry, CA-18 Foxhead Ranch Trail, Niceville, Florida. We've heard a lot about Paws tonight. We didn't hear a single thing about the city manager's fiduciary responsibility to spend the taxpayers' money wisely. So I applaud his efforts to get the right price and the right deal for the citizens and not throw money down the drain. And if other cities are paying less than half of we're paying, we need an explanation for that.
Thank you. Would somebody else like to come before the council on any issue? Seeing none, I want to remind everybody, the city manager and myself will stay behind for those that want to talk to us about the PAWS contract. And if there's other issues that you have that you want to talk, I can always be available as well, even tonight. So with that said, do I have a motion that we adjourn?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Schatzel. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. We are adjourned.